Coming at y'all Friday, June 6th. This is the sixth episode of the Best Picks in DMV podcast. This episode is going to be titled the Belmont Preview. My name is Gabriel Parise. I'm the host of this podcast. I want y'all also to finish my bet. Follow me on Instagram at Best Picks in DMV. That's where all these plays become finalized. So definitely do that if you're interested in to continue following me. I have my co-host here today, Ty Virgil. Unfortunately, my main co-host TJ couldn't be with us tonight, so I definitely got our brother basically filling in Ty. Go ahead when you can, Ty.
My bad, y'all. Yeah, I'm here. Just trying to work the cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Filling in, trying to do multitasking. So wait, can y'all even see me clearly?
Once again, this is
There we
Ty
go.
Virgil, the king of productions,
Right, right.
Virgil
You know,
Photography, also the host of the 420 Friendly podcast.
you know.
Definitely
And
tune into that if you can as well.
yes, yes, yes. Oops.
Then,
And,
then we also got my special guest with me.
mm-hmm.
This is his second appearance on the show. He's coming off the fresh winner of the Kentucky Derby preview show, Sovereignty. Sovereignty went off at 7-1. He definitely gave that out. That was his top choice. So definitely wanted to bring him back for this special edition. We weren't even really gonna have this, but it definitely seems interesting. This leg of the or this. What do you say again? I always call it a leg because I'm so used to pick fours.
Well, you could say it's the third leg of the Triple Crown
I thought that-
races.
right,
but,
right, right.
This year, the second race that went off, which is the
The second's the Preakness.
Preakness, the winner, Sovereignty, skipped that and chose to run in the Belmont, which is Saturday. So, unfortunately, they couldn't have that Triple Crown winner because he didn't run in the second race. So, that's what some of them are doing these days. They're if might not go to the second race.
Right, they're skipping the second leg of the. There's a better term for that. I don't know why we're forgetting off the top of our heads. What the you say like the second. I can't remember what it's
Second
called.
jewel.
Yeah,
of
is
the
that what they
Triple
say?
Crown?
The jewel is that the term? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but yeah, the second jewel, and it kind of ruins the Triple Crown race. Usually, I feel. I mean, the Triple Crown. Yeah, the Triple Crown race in general, I feel. And then by the time the Belmont rolls around, if you're not going for the third jewel of the Triple Crown, then it kind of seems not as interesting as it could be. But here, I still feel like this is probably as interesting as it can get without a horse going for a Triple Crown. The way this race is lined up, because we got a very interesting rematch going on here.
Yeah, between sovereignty and
Journalism.
journalism.
Yep. And then also we got a couple, and then we also have a horse that should have ran in the Derby. That's definitely going to see what he's about in this race in the Belmont as well.
Talking about Rodriguez, the
yeah.
winner of the Wood Memorial.
Yeah, I was curious to see what he would do in the Kentucky Derby if he ran, but I'm happy to see that we'll definitely see him against the same level of competition, I'd say, in this race. Um, a little thing about the Belmont this year, though. Do you want to say the change? Because usually it's at
Yeah,
Aqueduct.
well, it caught me by surprise too. I don't know where I was last year when the Belmont ran, but I had no idea, not a clue, that the Belmont is not even running it at all. They're refurbishing the track,
Right.
and that's been going on for now 2 years. I knew Belmont was running at Aqueduct during the wintertime, but I did not know they were going to run at Saratoga, which is where they're running tomorrow.
Yep. And then I don't think Belmont opens up again until 2027, from what I heard. And I heard when it does reopen, it's going to be better than ever and be the top premier track in the country. But we'll see how that goes, because I don't really like even playing Belmont on a regular basis, or the New York circuit, as much as you do, probably, because I know you're much more into Saratoga than I am.
Yeah, well, I play Saratoga, but
Yeah,
I don't
know
play
you
any
don't like. Yeah,
else
but you
in New
like
York.
Saratoga. I don't even really touch Saratoga.
Somewhat.
But we'll see how Saratoga goes tomorrow, and hopefully we do well on that. But before we get into the next segment, let me go ahead and give y'all the agenda of what we got going on today. The first thing we're going to do is review on how the official pick four, the previous pick four play we gave out for the Derby went, along with the Derby play that we gave out, or the Derby horses that we liked. I kind of spoiled it earlier because, like I said, he did give it out, but we'll go over that for a second. After that, we're going to get into a little lesson time with the special guest. He's going to give you just an insight on a nice, what would you say, a nice angle, horse handicapping angle to maybe look for in the future, because he's going to teach you something every time he's on here. He could teach you 20 things probably in the next segment, but we're going to take it easy and go 1 to 2 things at a time and look forward to the next time he's on for a horse podcast, which will probably be the Breeders' Cup. Then after that, we're going to go ahead and hand out the pick four in the Belmont winner. The Belmont is obviously, the pick four that we're playing, the Belmont is the 4th leg of the pick four, so just keep that in mind as well. This time we will give out the Belmont preview in the 4th leg instead of having a different segment for that alone. So that's just going to be one segment this time total, and then we're just going to give out money plays basically. But let's go ahead and give out get to the review. How would you say we did overall in the pick four that we handed out?
Well, I mean, we lost it because I singled in the race we shouldn't have singled.
Man,
you might believe us.
I don't know if you remember on the last episode, but I was telling you, man, of course, the race I don't look at, I'm leaving it up to this guy to single, man.
Well, and the whole thing was...
Hey, you talking about the Belmont, right?
No, for the Derby preview.
For tomorrow.
Yeah, I was telling him, man, when we previewed the pick four on the Derby preview, basically he had to leave it up to the single, and that's what ended up getting us. But I'm sorry, go ahead. How you said we lost? And why?
By me singling the 3rd leg. We should have singled Zulu Kingdom.
Yes, we should have.
Like
we
we
both
were
said
talking
it.
about,
We both said it.
we
if you
didn't
go
do it.
back. Yeah. And what can you do? And if I did actually study that race, Spirit of St. Louis, which was the horse that beat us in the single, the leg that we had the single in, I love the Spirit of St. Louis. And if you go back, I didn't study that race properly, and I left it up to the horse handicapping expert. He didn't come through that time in that, but it's all good. He'll bounce back right here now. But overall, we went 3 out of 4 in the pick four, correct?
Yeah, we went 3 out of 4. In the first race, we hit the superfact. Exactly.
Yeah, the one that we gave out on the previous podcast. The official Instagram play, we changed a little bit of the horses up.
Right.
But on the last podcast, we did give out the superfecta order with the 4 horses that we gave out on that for sure.
And then Copian won the next race, the 7 furlong race. And then we lost with the Chad Brown's other horse, Spirit of St. Louis, who's running today. And
Running
then
tomorrow.
Sovereignty was my top pick, and it won.
Yep.
7-1, I guess.
So, man, all we just had to do was have me study that race, basically, and talk you out of singling. And there was, like you said, well, how much did our ticket cost that day?
I can't remember, but it was Chad Brown's
about,
other
like, what,
horse.
$30 to
And we just
$40?
shouldn't have tried to pick the Chad Brown winner. Just pick both Chad Brown horses. We didn't have to single.
Yeah.
I think it was
that
under
was the point I was trying to
$40.
get out. Exactly. We could have put up a little bit more money just to even add a horse, and we probably could have did it. But it's easy to say that now, it looks like. But overall, I'd say we still did pretty good on the pick four that we gave out, even though we went 3 out of 4. And then, of course, he came through with the Kentucky Derby winner with Sovereignty. I kind of like Sandman, if you remember.
Yeah.
He didn't do shit that race. I like Chunk of Gold, or was it what? I always get his name mixed up.
I don't remember.
Yeah, but it was that Chunk of Gold. He was Chunk of shit. He sucked. And then you didn't really give out a long shot. I went back. I didn't really see you give out a long shot, but you didn't need to because
Well, I
you
even
gave out
said
the
in the
Stone Cold
beginning that I have
7-1
no
win.
idea who's going to win, and then I have the Derby winner, and that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I know what you mean with that for sure. But that's pretty much just, I wanted to go over quickly review on how we did, just to remind y'all of what went on that day. And once again, give him his props for coming through with Sovereignty, who I was surprised that went off at 7-1. Were you a little surprised as that?
Yeah, a little surprised.
What'd you
was
think he
7-1.
was gonna go
I
off
thought
at
it was
when
going to
we
be
played
like
him?
5-1.
5-1, yeah. I was gonna say like maybe 4-1 or something.
Maybe.
Yeah, but yeah, you definitely got good value for that, I feel. So that was definitely a great call out, 1,000%. But let me go ahead and get to the next segment. This is gonna be called, like I said, lesson time with the special guest, Mike Priest. Now, this part of the segment is for the special guest to give out top-notch handicapping advice as far as horse betting is concerned. Like I said earlier, he probably could give y'all 20 pieces of advice, but we're going to keep it easy for this episode and stay to one or two. Now, is there maybe one piece of advice that you feel like that you could give out just in general, like maybe like an angle that you really like or something that you might
It's
want the
my
audience
favorite
to know?
angle, maybe. It's called third off the layoff.
I like that angle too.
And what that means is horses are athletes just like humans. And they're trained to run maybe their peak performance third off the layoff. So the layoff could consist of maybe 3 months, 6 months, a year.
And
When
just
they
for
come-
those who don't know, what the layoff just simply means the horse is not running.
It's
So,
not going to be running during that time period.
That's just
So-
all the layoff means. Technically, the horse is just not running in general for those who are new to the horse racing.
Right. And so when the horse comes back, it might run a race. Let's say it runs somewhere in the 70s and had been running 70s previous to or prior to the layoff. Say it runs a 78, and then in the second race comes back with a little better, like an 80, doesn't win. And then that third race is usually, or they hope is scheduled for the horse's peak performance.
So you're
And-
almost saying like the first two races that they kind of do for after a layoff, especially an extended layoff, is almost like prep in a sense most of the time.
Well,
Even though there are some horses,
some of the
trainers
time,
are
and that-
better off the layoff and that. I
Yeah,
don't want to
some-
jump ahead in what you're giving out, but
Right. So, I mean, some trainers, they come back and shoot right off the layoff and win. Some of them are a little more patient. And the third performance can be the peak performance. And so there's a lot that are running today third off the layoff.
right. I definitely can vouch for that. He definitely did put me onto that angle, and I've had it a lot of time come through for me, and I was very happy I went through with it. So I would definitely look out for that angle in the future, and especially when a horse looks to be improving too. Like say like his first race off the layoff, he might have got like in fifth, and then even though you're not looking at times really, just say the place of the horse, he got in fifth at first, and then the next race, the second race off the layoff, he might have got like third and was coming, and then you just feel like he's improving. Then that maybe that third race is that prime race, and I would say on average,
Well,
you're
especially if the second race, like I said, say he was running like 70s before the layoff. Then he comes back and runs a 78, and then the next race is in like an 80.
right.
So you see the improvement second off from the layoff.
Exactly.
race,
And then he did the
first
first
small. And then you should be prized for that peak performance. It might be the lifetime number, the buyer, the higher this time.
Yeah.
Maybe get 83 and be a winner. And especially if it's moving up in class as it's getting the higher numbers.
Yeah, because you
So
feel like he's
that's
moving
another
up for a
thing to
reason. The
like
buyer
in
usually,
general,
the
too.
buyer climb usually indicates that, correct?
The
a lot of
buyer
time.
climb will indicate that. And then, like I said, if they're moving
That
up
affects
in
the
class,
buyer climb, I should say. I mean, like when you see the buyer score go up, sometimes the horse improving in moving up in class creates that buyer to go up sometimes.
well, yeah.
Would you say? Yeah, I was just making sure of that because that's one question I did have for you. I was kind of curious about that because that's what I would have assumed would definitely affect the buyer. I keep saying buyer score. What's the proper term for that?
Just a buyer number.
Buyer number.
What-
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so overall, the first lesson I would say you just gave out once again was third off the layoff. So definitely remember that if you're into horse racing or you're trying to get into horse racing. It definitely comes through. Not all the time, but it's definitely something to look forward, and it's definitely a great angle to
It's
have,
definitely
especially when they're
a
improving.
box checker,
Yeah.
and like you like to check a lot of different boxes when you're picking a horse, but that's a major one for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely always look out for that as well. We're going to give out one more lesson for right now. Would you say that there's a lesson that you want to give out or just a certain angle that you would want to give out or a certain just any aspect that you would like to give out of the upcoming races with a horse that might have that in it?
Put
You
the
get what I'm
third off
saying?
layoff?
No, not the third off layoff. Is there like another type of angle that you could give that you looked
Well,
in our pick 4 sequence? Even though we are
yeah.
going to kind of jump ahead a little
Yeah.
bit,
The-
but is there any horse or situation to where there's an example of what you might be giving out?
Well, I'll tell it to you like this. When I'm handicapping races, the first thing I do in the first race I handicap, the first thing I do is I find out where the jocks are moving or staying. So I'll go through all the horses and I'll see if any jocks are moving to another horse,
right.
you know? And sometimes it's a different situation where the jocks, it's a different colony. There's a different,
Yeah,
a
there's
whole
just different
situation
reasons
going
to
on.
why the jocks change.
But that's what I do because I want to see if jock moved from a horse and is moving to another horse. So, because a lot of people bet jockeys, and I don't bet jockeys. But what I do bet is jock moves because to me it can indicate a live horse. And so,
would it be like, for example, you would think because the jockey's more interested in riding that horse because of it thinks it has a better chance of winning, or do you think
that's
is that
exactly
why?
what it does?
Yeah,
but
that's
like,
what I would say too.
You got to be careful with that too because sometimes jocks they're going to go with who gives them their bread and butter. So if they are with a trainer,
right,
a lot of times, I
Then
mean,
they're gonna
throughout
stay loyal.
the meet, and they do a lot of business with the outfit, they're going to stay with that outfit
Yeah.
sometimes.
Right.
And so it doesn't always indicate the live,
Exactly.
but what I'm saying is it could indicate
Yeah.
the live horse.
And
in
common
the
sense
race.
kind of tells you the jockey's probably going to try to get to the horse that he has a better chance.
Well,
on
especially
time.
wins at like 25 or 30% at the meet.
Right.
So, yeah, if he's a leading jock. But it doesn't always have to be the leading jock. It can just be an interesting move.
Exactly. I know exactly what you mean. And I think that's another great piece of advice, and definitely it helps looking for me in general is jockey movement as well. I think that's very important to look at, and it does give you some clues to maybe who the jock thinks in general is going to win. But like he says, sometimes it's more than that, and they just have to stay loyal to the trainer. So you got to look out for that as well. But overall, I'd say those are pretty two good lessons that you handed out as far as I'm concerned, because like I said, those two angles that you just handed out, I definitely look at every time I handicap a race for sure. And you too, Ty, if you ever start handicapping these races, those are two angles you definitely want to look at. Third off the layoff, and then jockey movement throughout
And we
each
have an
race.
example today where there's both going to be involved in one horse.
Yeah, so make sure we'll give you that example. Go ahead, Ty.
I was just gonna say I pay attention, so
Yeah.
I think I might put some money down. Not tomorrow though. Not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow. Yeah,
Not tomorrow.
He'll
I ain't
be
ready.
ready by Breeders' Cup time, the fall. You won't be ready
The
by the
fall.
fall.
Okay.
We still prepping
Okay.
Ty. He got to just pay attention to these productions and worry about these alone right now. Those are what most
a
important.
lot that goes into this.
It really is a lot, man. People don't know, but man, appreciate Ty once again. Shout out to Virgil Photography.
Thank you.
Also, if you haven't, definitely check out that 420 Friendly podcast. The link's in my bio on my Instagram, so definitely check that out. I wish my other co-host was here, of course, too, as well. He's also a host on the 420 Friendly podcast with Ty. I go on there a lot, so definitely check that out, especially if you like to smoke weed and you definitely interested in different strains. And I could keep going on about that. That's a special podcast, so definitely check that out if you can. But let's go ahead and go to the next segment real quick.
I got one.
Go ahead, my bad, Ty.
Also,
Go ahead.
VMN.
Oh,
You got a
yeah.
program. You need live streaming services. Hit us up. We can do it. We come to you. Live stream, whatever, podcast, whatever you
Yes,
need.
sir.
360 photo t-shirts, socks, tumblers, photography,
Coffee mugs.
drone photography. Yeah, coffee mugs, whatever.
We're gonna get that coffee mug started, Ty. We want
Oh,
to see
yeah.
the movement. I was about to get a lot of business with those coffee mugs. I'm trying to tell you.
I should do a TikTok shop and sell them.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna happen. And make
Yeah.
sure if y'all haven't, definitely like this video. Definitely subscribe to the channel if you want.
Yes.
If you want to make money this fall coming up, definitely subscribe. It's going to be great. If you would like to, you can definitely give a tip as well. Everything's appreciated. So definitely do that if you can. But we're going to go ahead and get right into this pick 4 now with the horse expert. Let's hopefully he leads us to the right pick 4 this time instead of just the main race. Hopefully he doesn't disappoint us with the single again. But overall, he did pretty well last time. So the now for this pick 4, remember it starts in race 10 at the Belmont tomorrow. What time does that go off out about? It says.
That's about what I was going to tell you. It's 4:47 Eastern Standard Time.
So we'll probably be giving out the official plays on Instagram about 3 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you definitely tune into that as well to get the official plays. But right now, this is the official podcast play that's about to come up right now. And just a reminder, it's races 10 through 13. The Belmont is in the 13th race. That's the 4th and final leg of this pick 4 sequence. So with that said, I'm going to hand it over to my special guest and let him get started with race number 10, a.k.a. the first leg.
Yeah, well, we kind of went into this together this time. We both landed, on the chalk, Zulu Kingdom.
How couldn't we?
Yeah, we did it for us last time.
He looked so good last time, too, didn't he?
Well, he won. He great.
That's it? You
Yeah.
don't think he looked a little bit
No,
more
he looked
special
great.
than just
He
the win?
looked good. And, it's supposed to be a little wet out there tomorrow, especially in the morning. The track got some moisture today. I don't know what it did on Thursday, but it should be like a yielding track to a good track. I don't think it'll be fast and firm there tomorrow. And Zulu Kingdom's 3 for 3 on a wet track, so that's not going to hurt him if that does happen.
wet
And it's
turf.
definitely going to happen. So I thought he probably can't get beat. And I have one other horse like a little bit, but we're going to go straight to Gabe's first pick, which is the number 5, Tom's Magic. If you wanted to talk a little bit about him or just I can tell you what he did, where he come from.
Yep, Tom's Magic is a horse that I definitely think that y'all definitely should look out for. He ran this distance in all 4 of his first starts. Wouldn't you agree that it was kind of impressive what he did after he broke his maiden to go up and win a stakes race after that?
Well, he won us at fairgrounds where they're allowed to use Lasix. They're not allowed to use Lasix here today. And so when the first time he didn't have Lasix, he bombed.
Right.
So,
but I wouldn't completely say he
but
bombed.
that's
because
right.
I went back and watched the race.
He watched
replay.
the movie. So.
And who also is in this race is the 7-horse Me Bago. He was actually also in that race, that the last race that they were in. What was that race called again?
The American Turf Classic at Churchill.
Exactly. And if you watch that race replay, you'll see immediately out of the gate, Me Bago comes out insane, comes over and smacks.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I was giving you
it was
the
the other
last
one.
race. It was the race before that at Keeneland. It was the Transylvania.
Exactly,
Where
Transylvania.
traffic trouble happened.
Yep, sorry about that, but exactly. And if you go back and look at that, like I said, out of the gate, he comes over, he bumps another horse, and they both run right into Tom's Magic, and Tom's Magic gets actually squeezed and almost has to completely pull up. Somehow he regains himself, and if you keep looking, he gets kind of back in the race. And I would say about halfway through the race, if he didn't keep on having to go wide twice and travel so much ground and be completely dead by the final stretch, that he might have had a good shot at running this race pretty good, because I watched it, and he looked pretty good even though he had to hold up. So I'm just wondering if he gets a good trip here, especially with Ben Curtis riding him again, why he might not be able to pull this off, kind of. So I'm going to definitely say that y'all definitely need to look out for Tom's Magic.
Look, Gabe could be right about this. Remember, this is a 3-year-old stakes race. Most of these horses have been out 4 or 5 times. So before the last race, this horse had a 3-time turf buyer climb. And in the last race, that's all it takes is to get bumped between and study to the start, not to be able to come home. So, he could have a bombed out, great race at a bomb price. So,
right. That's right.
Because he will go off. I think he'll be an overlay. He'll be over 20 to 1. Believe me.
You think so? 20 to 1.
He'll be over 20 to 1.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think,
So.
but he might. I can see why you say that, especially with some other horses getting some action. I think Zulu Kingdom probably is going to get a lot of action. So I agree.
We went with one more horse in this first leg. Well, we went 2 more horses. Gabe liked one more horse. He liked the 9, which was a Noble Confessor out of the Todd Pletcher barn. And Pletcher has 3 in this race. He has the 2, 6, and 9, and Gabe did like the 9 here a little bit. Did you want to say anything about him? Or just...
Well, I just think it's interesting that if you look, he's still a maiden horse, and I think they know that he is a special horse because they keep putting him in stake races, even though he's a maiden before he even breaks his maiden. Just his last race, I believe, was a maiden race, and now he didn't break his maiden, but he's still now running right back in the stakes race. So there's something special about this horse, I feel.
You could be right.
Horse.
I mean,
he's Todd Pletcher has 3 horses in this race, so.
He started his career on dirt, and then he had one. He went as a maiden. He went straight to a Grade 2, the Pilgrim at Belmont at Aquita, and then he was actually at the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, where, he was it was a little ambitious, to say the least, as a maiden, and then came back as a maiden and lost again. So when you have a maiden in a stakes race, it's interesting, and he probably will be double the odds, but he could be a special horse. And like I said, he's only been out 5 times. So,
and I feel, just not to get too far ahead, but this might be the race that kind of like a bomb comes in, or at least a long shot.
If Zulu Kingdom doesn't win,
exactly, because Zulu Kingdom
we do
both love, and
if he doesn't
honestly, I couldn't even argue with somebody if they said they wanted to single once again Zulu Kingdom in this race. Could you really tell them don't do it if they really wanted to?
Right, but
I wouldn't want to do it. But
not
could you
single
talk
Zulu
somebody
the first time and then come and single here.
Exactly.
And then,
I know what you're saying.
That's just not going to happen. So he'll probably will win, but I couldn't make a new play and singling here after not singling there and then singling here and be done. So that's just how my mind works. And I liked one more in the race, the number 2 horse, AP Kid, 10-1 morning line. It's another one out of the Pletcher barn. This is a maiden, but he broke his time in a really good fractions in 1:39 and change. As a 3-year-old at Gulfstream, going 1 mile and a 16th, that's a fast time. And he beat 2 others that are in this race, the 8 and the 10, who had to break their maidens the next race and then to get into this race.
Right.
So you don't have to do that, as you see the 9 horse is a maiden in a stakes race. But that's how they broke their maidens. But he beat both of them. And then what's different about him is he laid up since March. And now they're running him. And his works look like he cannot wait to get back on the racetrack. They are really nice works, really fast and nice works. So we'll see what happens.
I do agree. And one thing I do want to say, too, is he did break his maiden at Gulfstream going the same distance. And I have heard that Saratoga and Gulfstream have similar tracks. So I'm not sure if that's on the turf, though. That's the only thing I'm worried about with that comment.
That could be right.
Is it just the dirt that you think that they'd be more similar?
It's probably not the dirt. So it's probably the turf they're talking about.
That's what I've heard. So I would say that's kind of a good angle with the 2. I just simply was scared because of the fact I just don't think it's anywhere near the one's class. Not to say the other 2 I gave out really were either. So I wouldn't really say the 2's impossible, and I'd hate to cost you there, but I just can't see the 2 winning right here. I'm sorry.
Well, the one's certainly more accomplished, but again, they're 3-year-olds. They grow up quick. The 2's only been out twice.
Right.
Okay.
But who did we end up going with officially in the first leg?
1, 2, 5, 9. We used 4 different horses.
1, 2, 5, and 9.
1, 2, 5, 9.
Okay. 1, 2, 5, and 9. That's the first leg of the official podcast play.
Now we're moving into the 11th race, which is the Woody Stevens. It's a Grade 1, another 3-year-old stakes race. They're going 7 furlongs in this event. So we went with 4 different horses here, and I'm just going to give you I'm not going to give you the top horse because it goes in with both the angles, and we're going to save him for last. So my second choice was the number 5 horse, Citizen Bull. Citizen Bull ran in the Kentucky Derby. He's a Bob Baffert trainee. He got out quick from the 1 hole, which you have to do at Churchill with 19 other horses along with him. But he quickly faded. But this horse has ran 7 races, and he was highly thought of. He was 15-1 last year in his 4th race at Breeders' Cup, and he went gate to wire. Okay, so this year he's ran 2 races before the Derby, and you see a lot of ones here, which means in the form, which means he's fast. So what's going on here that I really like is Baffert is taking blinkers off. He's 38%.
I didn't catch that. So he is taking blinkers off
and
right here.
And I love blinkers off when I like a horse.
Yeah.
But I really like blinkers off when a horse has speed. It's called blinkers off with speed. And this horse has never ran without blinkers. So they must know something, because to them to take the blinkers off now, I mean, in this part of the campaign, and as he's always ran with blinkers, and now he's not. There's just something I like about that. And I'm not a big Baffert fan, but I'm not a hater either. But I'm picking his horse today. So I like the 5, Citizen Bully's my second choice.
Okay.
Gabe's first, I think it's your first choice or second choice, but we both agreed it's an agreeable choice, is the number 3, Macho Music.
My first choice was actually the 10.
Okay, so we're saving the one we both like for last. So we used the 5.
Who'd you say, the 4, though?
We used the 5. We're gonna use it's Gabe's other choice. It's Patch Adams, the 4.
Right.
So you can talk a little bit about him before we go on our agreeable choice, the 3. Go with the 4.
Right. This is one of 2 of Brad Cox's horses in this race. I think he had a very impressive win last time out. The only time he's ran at the 7 furlong distance, he's won. Saez is coming aboard, and Pratt is jumping. Actually, which horse? I forget what horse was he?
Well, Pratt is going to the surprise horse. So
okay,
we're
but
gonna
exactly,
say
but
the end,
but Pratt did ride the surprise horse, which is the 10 horse,
yeah.
every single time. So it's not really surprising that Pratt chose to ride the 10 horse in my opinion. And I think if you would have a jockey replace, who better than Saez for right now on this horse? You know what I mean? So I would say the 4 finish. Oh, so I'm definitely playing the floor no matter what. I definitely still like the 4, even though of the jockey change. And usually with this type of jockey change, you would probably want to stay away and just play our special horse. There's something about this 4 I still can't get.
Well, I'll give you something right here. He had a monster second out when he broke his maiden. I mean, that is a fast time for any age horse, 1:20 and 3. And he did this as a 2-year-old. So that's how they quickly put him on the Derby trail. And, he didn't make it, but, they're going back to that distance at 7 furlongs.
Yeah,
and I'm telling you, that is a fast time at
That's what I said. That's what I
for
said.
a 2-year-old.
It was a
that
very
is
impressive race.
Believe me, that is fast. It makes me want to look up the track. I should know the track.
And put it this way: would you say if Pratt rode him and say he rode him instead of the 10, who would you like?
I would like the 4.
Yeah.
Okay,
so exactly. Yeah. So the 4's 10, and he says he doesn't bet jocks. So
I
don't
Jock moves. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to talk a little bit about the 3 horse here, because me and him, Gabe, both liked him. It's Macho Music.
Yeah, I do like the Macho.
The reason why I like this horse, besides watching him win the Pat Day Mile at 13-1 and having the horse, this horse seems like he's getting better fast as a 3-year-old. Okay, it took him twice to win his maiden, and then he won an allowance optional claiming at Keeneland last year, and then they went to Stakes Company, and he didn't win there until this year. They started in January with the stakes, then February, and then he won that stakes at Tampa. Because he's a Florida bred, so he broke this state bred stakes at Tampa at 7 furlongs. So he's ran twice at 7 furlongs, and he got a 102. And these aren't true buyers. We've got the papers here, okay? But he improved, and then he ran that Pat Day Mile in a real nice time, and he beat a couple others that are in here today. And so I like him, and I think he can win the race, and he'll probably win it like he won his last 2 races in front end conditions. So we're going to move to the 10s, trying to go a little quicker here. This 10, Pratt got off 3 horses to ride this horse, And he
Would
didn't
you
just
really
get
say
off.
he got
he
off
got
of
off
them though,
both.
or is this the
he got
horse
off
that he
both
rides?
Cox horses, and he got off. Yeah, he rides for Cox. And
Not
he
just Cox though. This horse in particular. How many times has this
well,
horse
he ran
ran?
this horse since his first race last year. But
So that's why I'm not
so,
really
yeah.
surprised he
Well,
chose this horse. That's all I'm
Well,
saying.
I'm telling you that he left 2 Cox horses and a Pletcher horse, and he's riding Chancer McPatrick.
Right.
Now, Chancer McPatrick was on the Derby Trail last year. He didn't make it to the Derby, but excuse me, he was on the Derby Trail this year.
Do you like that name, by the way, Ty? Chancer McPatrick. Chancer McPatrick. That's a weird ass name. I thought I'd tell Ty that, but go ahead.
No, I was mistaken. He wasn't on the Derby Trail. But
See,
what,
maybe you need
what
to-
I remember him by was he was very thought after in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile because he couldn't have ran last year because the Derby because he was 2. So that's what I was thinking about. And he had won 3. He was 3 for 3 going into Breeders' Cup, and he wasn't the favorite, but he's very close to it at 2-1. And he lost to Citizen Bull that day, and Citizen Bull is in this
By the
race.
five.
He's in the
the
5
horse.
horse, which I like. So,
Right.
so 2 also. And another thing about Chancer McPatrick, this is his home circuit. He broke his maiden first out. He came from behind with a really good finish. Then in the next race, he won the hopeful coming from behind. He hit the gate. The rider lost the whip, and the horse still won. And so then he won the Champagne. So you could see why he was very well thought after. And he just didn't show up at Breeders' Cup. So when he left New York, he went, he went bad, and then he didn't resurface till in Tampa in March. And this is what comes to what we were talking about. And he ran April 8th, and now he's running like almost June 8th. So that's actually a month off. It's not a true third off day, but
Right.
it's kind of qualifies as it. And what I like here also, and why I like the horse, besides the fact that Pratt's left 3 horses to come here,
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. We're going to have to take a break real quick. I'm sorry. Right at you, though. Go ahead where you left off with this.
Yeah, so Chancer
McPatrick.
Chancer McPatrick he had 2 races this year. They were trying to qualify him for the Derby.
Right, because you were just talking about the third off the layoff, how it wasn't a true off
Right.
layoff.
And so he didn't win the Bluegrass, but he ran with blinkers both times this year, and they're taking blinkers off also, and they're very successful. Chad Brown is. So besides the fact that he's running at his home track where he broke his maidens and came from the clouds, he's won at 7 furlongs and taking the blinkers off, trying to qualify for the Derby. I like him on the cutback. So
yeah,
I
I
like
would
him.
say I love him too. That's why I said he was my top choice. He's won his first 3 races ever and been a little shaky.
Yeah, he won the first
yeah, I'm
3.
sorry. I was just making sure. It sounded like this one other horse. I was making sure I had the correct notes here. But he won his first 3 races ever and been a little shaky when they bumped the distance on him. So they actually extended the distance on him a little bit, but they're shortening back down with him. And he loves this distance, it seems. So I feel he's the strongest horse for not only this distance in this. I mean, he's the strongest horse for this distance in this field, if that makes any sense. And on top of that, he loves Saratoga dirt, like you said. If somebody made a case to even single him in this race, I could definitely see and understand why.
Well, for the other reasons too, leaving 2 Cox horses and Todd
Yeah.
Pletcher, for this horse. So.
Right. There's a lot of reasons.
I mean,
but
he
think,
runs for
me
Chad
personally.
Brown,
I think the
obviously,
best
but-
reason though is him bumping down the distance back to
Right.
that distance.
And
I
he's in
really think
demand,
that's the most
Pratt,
important. He loves that distance
Okay.
on this.
So we went there.
Yeah,
we went
what's the
10,
official play?
10, 5, 3, and 4.
10, 5, 3, and 4 on the second leg of the Belmont. Once again, that's race 11. So
Okay.
let's go ahead and get to the 12th race here. This is the second to last leg, other known as the third leg of the pick 4 sequence. Once again, this is race 12, the race right before the Belmont.
Yeah, this is the Manhattan. They're going 1 mile and 3/16 on the inner turf. No, the Mellon turf course,
Yep,
which
it
is the
the
outer
Mellon
turf
turf.
course.
Exactly, yep.
Okay. So we ended up choosing a horse apiece because there's a number that can win in here. So, Christopher Clement, who just passed. His son took over the barn. This just happened last
Oh,
week.
is that what happened?
Yeah.
That did happen. I
Yeah.
did actually see one of the horses actually just were. You said his father?
Yeah, it was his father.
Did you see which
Miguel
horse
is the
was
son.
that?
Well, he's got 3 in the race. He's
Yeah,
got
but
the
one of the
4,
horse was
5.
just. All of
Yeah,
them.
they
were.
all
of them were.
they're all
Oh,
say
that's
that.
what. Yeah,
the
I'm
4,
sorry.
5, and 9. That's
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
So,
I was wondering why that was. I thought that was weird.
Gabe's first choice was the 9, and the more I look at him, I think he can win. I think a number can win in there. So, but if you wanted to say anything about him.
This race in general, I think it's going to be the speed. First of all, what we didn't get to was, in general, I think speed kind of is better at this track. Speed horses tend to have a better time at this track. I've heard distant closers and just closers that depend really on closing. You call them deep closers for the most part. They really have trouble at this track for the most part. So in this race in particular, I think they will have trouble as well. There's 2 speed horses that I think that are gonna basically be running and could potentially tire each other out, which is who was it?
Well,
Who was the other speed horse in that race? I'm sorry.
Well, the 5's definitely going to be
Yeah, it
in
was
the
the
front,
5.
so.
It was the 5, and I think, to be honest, Tucson, who actually had to cut this leg, who's a long shot, also has speed, and also the 8 Corruption, who's going to be another long shot, has speed. So I think they might tire out Deterministic, the 5 horse, who is actually a really good horse. So I think if you look at the 9 on paper, I wouldn't call him a stalking horse necessarily, but he is a speed stalking horse, if that makes sense. He likes to sit like second and third and then really bounce at the end. And this just seems like a perfect race for him to do that. Once again, he's one of the 3 entries from Miguel Clement in this race. I trust Rosario on him. Rosario's done nothing but win on him in his 4 previous rides. So I really like this 9 horse.
Well, Rosario and Clement were a deadly combination, or are a deadly combination in New York. And this horse looks like he's right on top of his game. He's 8 for 16 lifetime. The wet won't bother him. He's only won 600,000, on the wet course, 2 for 4. 6 for 12 on the firm turf course. So, 8 for 16 lifetime. He's a 2 times a millionaire. So, I mean, he could win for sure. And the other horse we landed on was the 6, Spirit of St. Louis. And for a number of reasons. It's a Chad Brown trainee. He's 11 for 16 lifetime. Just won a grade 1. He's won multiple grade 1s.
He's very classy.
So, I think it's going to be a little chalky. We only use 2 here. They're probably going to be the first, second choice. But I thought a number of these could win. But we ended up going with 2 here to make the
thing
play
I would
reasonable.
like to say, though, about Spirit of St. Louis, the only thing I'm a little worried about with Spirit of St. Louis, he definitely seems like more of a closer. Though, if you look at more races prior, like early on, he didn't really was a closer. He kind of was speed. But lately, he's been closing. And like I said, at this track, it's a little scary there. So I think he might have to kind of go a different route here and convert back into his early racing days.
And Gabe might be right because he has not raced
But
here.
Malcolm Franco's on him, and that's another reason why I really like him here, that he's been riding him a lot and he's won on him almost every time besides once. And what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's rode him 7 times and won 6 out of 7. The time he didn't win was he got second. So it's hard to leave him out. So I definitely did want to keep the 6 on there, and definitely didn't want to have him beat us again, because that's who beat our single, and I loved him in the last race. But that's the only thing I'd say I'm a little worried about him here. And that's why the 9 was my top choice over the 6. But I definitely still want to add
Well,
the
Gabe
6.
might be right because, this is a little unordinary to have a Chad Brown stakes horse that has 16 starts and has not had a race at Saratoga. So
We're going to see how I know it is a
I
little scary. And
never really
I
thought
do
about
want to
that
say,
till right
even though
now.
we didn't play him, I want to get a shout out to the 7, the Tucson and Corruption. Definitely make sure that
Well,
y'all
if you're going to
follow
give a
me
shout
and
out,
give
I'm going
all.
to give a shout out to Highway Robber. So I hope he does well.
Okay.
The 3-horse.
But definitely follow me on Instagram because this race could be a race that kind of changes. I can kind of tell that now. One thing that won't change is the 9 in this race. I'll tell you that right now because, like I said, and I know he agrees. Wouldn't you say this race is set up perfectly for the 9?
Yeah.
If he just the field in
He looks
general.
really good on paper.
Yeah, so like the 9 definitely, but we might not go with that 6 on the official play. But for this podcast play, we are.
Right.
So once again, what were the 2 official plays?
The 6 and 9. Well, the
6
2
and 9.
unofficial plays, basically.
Well, the
what they're
official podcast plays.
called. Oh, the official
Yeah,
podcast.
podcast
I'm sorry with the hand gesture.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right.
let's go ahead. We're going to get to the big race. Here it is, Ty. This is the race, man. Ty likes a horse here. Ty, give him your selection before we even get to our final sequence of the pick 4. You remember. You was just listening to the preview. Hold up. His mic ain't on right now.
Oh yeah, journalism.
Journalism. He's going with
Yeah.
journalism. So I wanted to put Ty out there. That's Ty's official Belmont play. If you're going with Ty, you're going with journalism.
Well, I'm
Matter of
scared
fact-
of him.
Hold
I'll
on.
tell you that. We didn't use him. I'll give that right off the bat. We didn't. I'm scared of him.
Oh yeah, we are gonna try to beat him here. I think
Yeah.
I basically did. I have any read? Did I kind of talk you out of him a little bit?
Well, a little bit. He wasn't my first choice, but I was going to use him because I think he's going to win. So, but we'll see.
Right.
My first choice was, and I can't remember, Beza.
I'm pretty sure it's Beza.
People really are going to think that I like Flavien Prat. I don't know
Because you
what
got
it
him
is.
like crazy. Even
Yeah,
in the
you know,
didn't you have him in the Derby?
I'm sure.
Yeah, I think. I mean, in the pick,
No,
not in the
not the
Derby, but I
Derby.
meant the pick 4 sequence.
Well, I did have him in the Derby because he rode Baez.
I think you
in
had
the
a
Derby,
couple.
so,
You do got a lot
I
of
did
Pratt
have him,
horses in both
but
of these previews.
I just think he's getting better every race. And, the Derby is a sloppy mess with 20 horses. And, he might not have been able to make a move.
Right.
And in this race, he might. And one thing we forgot to tell you is the Belmont is a 1.5 mile distance, but it's not tomorrow.
Right.
It is a
We
mile
didn't
and a
forget to tell him
quarter.
that because we didn't
because
tell
it's
him
at-
that it shortened up, but we did tell him
Yeah.
about how it got switched to Saratoga.
We did, but we didn't tell that
Yeah,
part
exactly,
of it. So
exactly. That's the
so
most
the
important
Belmont
part of it, to be
historically
honest.
is a 1.5 mile race.
Right.
Taxing on 3-year-olds.
Mhm.
But
They're
in this,
shortening it.
it's going to be like the Derby at 1.25 miles.
Yeah, the same
quarter
distance, the
so
same exact
distance. So we'll see if Sovereignty can get to the what's his name? Journalism. I keep wanting to
Journalism.
say Osborne or something.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, journalism. So we'll see if he can get to journalism this time. But we use the 6, and then Gabe has a pick here in the
Who's the
Belmont.
6? Oh, Biza, my bad.
Buys us.
Yeah.
So, but you have a pick here.
Oh, my top selection in this race is going to be Rodriguez. If you remember what I was just talking about, like I said, I think this track favors speed a lot, to be honest with you. I think Rodriguez, he'd probably prefer the 1 position or the 2 position, but he got the 3rd position, which is a great position for him. And if he gets out, especially in this field, because there's only one other horse that I feel is going to try to contend with him early. Because Baez really not going to push him, I feel. He's going to be behind him. I feel the horse that's going to kind of contend with him early is going to be Crudo. Crudo's going to try to shoot out there with Rodriguez. But the thing is, if Crudo doesn't get out there, Rodriguez is going to have nobody really contending with him. And, man, he was supposed to be in the Kentucky Derby as well, but his hoof soreness,
Yeah,
so he
that's what they
wasn't
said.
allowed to race in it. But now he's coming back. He has Mike Smith riding him for the 2nd time. Mike Smith just won on him, so I always feel confident when the jockey just ran on him a little more. So I definitely like that. I like how the distance he's traveled in his last race, too, even though it's not the same distance as this, but he shows he can kind of go distance and win. So I just think this, in a way, this is a perfect field for Rodriguez to win. I know we're counting on Sovereignty and journalism to battle it out, but like I said, it's harder to close at this track. So I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. And if they do be able to do it, one thing that I do think will happen is journalism will beat Sovereignty. Sovereignty will finish ahead of journalism because if it's the same distance, I just don't think it's going to be a different result. I think the same exact distance, he catches them again. So if it goes that
Journalism.
route, yeah, he ties in journalism, but I don't know. So I'm going to say my 2 top selections are Sovereignty and Rodriguez, but Rodriguez is definitely my top selection. I think it's going to be speed control in this race.
Right. Well, I don't play Aqueduct, but I'm pretty sure that's a pretty fast time for a mile and an eighth, 1:48 and 1. I mean, that's fast anywhere, I think, at mile and an eighth. So, because sometimes these Wood Memorial winners, I just don't see much out of. But it's Baffert horse, and it's speed trained, and we'll see what happens on Saturday. He could definitely take him for a while. I don't know, about a mile and a quarter, but we'll see.
I think he will. I think the thing is he's just going to have nobody contending him. He's just going to have a perfect start, and it's just going to be over before it starts. Besides, unless, like I said, Crudo contends and tires him out. And Baez is going to give him a little bit of trouble maybe towards the end just because he might be hovering around behind him. But I don't think Baez, to be honest with you, is going to get past Rodriguez if Rodriguez does have that lead. But one thing I would like to say, maybe a little long shot in this race. Well, let me not get ahead to that. So what were the finalized horses that did we get to the final horse? How many horses did we?
Yeah, it was this. We used Sovereignty too. So
Sovereignty.
6,
Would you
2,
like to
and
say
3.
anything else about Sovereignty before we move?
Well,
on?
the only thing I'm going to say is that I just don't know whether it's Saratoga, Belmont, or wherever. Okay, that Sovereignty might not be better than journalism. I mean, I just look and see journalism's obviously getting better every single race. And so it's not a distance question with either of those horses. I just think last time when they faced off, which was at the Derby, that
it just was the routing. Basically,
he might have went just a little too soon, and it was a wet, mucky mess, and Sovereignty just came with a rush and had it.
What do you feel about Sovereignty getting a little bit more rest? Do you think that plays a role at all in this?
Well, it definitely plays a role. And so we'll see.
Man,
but
that's another reason I kind of and I think too, even though he's not really a speed horse, I still think
he's not a speed horse at all.
I know, but I still think the 2 post position kind of favors him a little bit better than having the 7.
But no, you might have said it all in the fact that this type of track favors speed. It certainly does favor speed.
I heard
usually.
deep closers have a real tough time at this track. That's what I hear.
Yeah, well, I'm here to tell you that you're probably right. I mean, over the last 20 years, it's not that they come from the clouds. Often they do in some races where a race falls apart, but it's not known as like, oh, Saratoga, the home of the closers.
Exactly.
It's definitely not known as that. So you might have something with the speed here, but I just think when it's time when they make their moves that this time Sovereignty might not be able to catch journalism because of just the pure fact the horse is getting better with every race, and he's probably going to be on top of his game here and wins the race. So
but
you must think we're
races
fools
that he
for
was
not
getting,
playing the horse in the pick 4, but we didn't.
Right. Oh, you said what?
Well, we didn't play journalism. We didn't put journalism. We're
I'm happy.
Well, and Gabe's happy. I'm not so happy, but then then again,
Ty's not happy either. Ty's like, damn.
So here's what
he said he doesn't care.
Play was
why don't you care?
Well, because I'm going to be playing a pick 5. I'm going to be playing the pick 6 at Churchill. I don't even know if I'm playing this. I might play the pick 5 since I handicapped. And
he's
I'll
definitely going to be playing it.
Yeah, it'll probably be a $12 bet.
And we might even add the pick 5, to be honest, in a personal
I'll be playing
play.
the pick 5 here tomorrow, probably for $12.
Definitely going to make a personal
see
pick
if I
5.
can win.
That's either what I mean. He's already talking about the amount of money before he even knows what.
Just the way it is.
That's crazy.
It's nuts.
But look, now besides all that crazy talk, let's go ahead and finalize.
I'm going to finalize the play. So in the first leg, in the 10th race, it was the 1, 2, 5, 9.
1, 2, 5, 9.
And then in the second leg, we went 3, 4, 5, 10.
Race 11, 3, 5, 4, 10.
And then in the 12th, we used the 6 and 9.
Which is the third leg, 6 and 9.
And then in the Belmont, we used the 2, 3, and 6.
2,
so
3, and 6.
That is 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. 24 times 4 is 96. You cut that in half because of the 50-cent play, and that's $48. Or if we were really going on together, it would be $24 a piece, and that's what makes it affordable.
And that's what's going to go on. Even though
Yeah.
he's claiming we're not going to play it, we are going to play it, and we might make a minor change, which might add a few shots in here as well. Because I do think this actually does have potential of paying a lot, to be honest, especially if that first leg happens, like I said. And then for some reason in the Belmont, we have Crudo with the big upset because Rodriguez kind of had trouble getting out. And
Well, I can't wait
Crudo
to
did
see
it.
that 7 furlong, the Woody Stevens, because I think that's going to be the spectacular race. Really, I
What
really do
number is
think it's
that?
going to be the 11th.
The
Because I
11th.
can't wait to
that is a
see
good
what
race.
Citizen
There's a
Bull
lot
does.
of horses.
See if I'm right on
Yeah,
that.
I do like that. But let's go ahead and finalize the or just go ahead and we're gonna give out who's your top choice in the Belmont. If you had to have somebody lay a lot of money down on a horse to win that race, who would you tell them to do it?
I mean, if I had a gun to my head right now,
No, just if somebody came up to you and told you to lay a big number down.
Journalism.
And they're gonna break you off. Who would you pick? Todd's telling them journalism. So definitely, if you
I'd rather
rocking
have
with
the gun to
Todd,
my
put
head
journalism.
than somebody breaking me off. But
That's pretty weird too.
only
but-
because it makes you really say, well, who do you think's going to win? You have a gun to your head. But I would
personally,
say,
I think free money is like a gift, so I don't think somebody would give up the opportunity to get free money if you were right. So
Well,
I
if you
guess if
really-
you want the gun to your head, go
I
ahead.
think that Rodriguez is going to take him a long way. Like you said, it's not science. There's two horses that are going to be on the front end. And I don't think Crudo's going to be able to match Rodriguez's speed and then, or Rodriguez. And then I think, like I said, I tried to set it up for you. I think journalism's going to make his move, and this time Sovereignty's not going to catch him, and he's going to win. So that's journalism.
So he's giving out with Ty. So out of nowhere on the official
Journalism.
podcast play, it is
I
journalism.
pick a horse that we don't have.
So remember, he gave out Sovereignty. I know I'm talking like this, but truth of the matter is he gave out Sovereignty at 7-1 at the Kentucky Derby, and now he's going with journalism. So I definitely would look into journalism, like he's saying, because the truth of the matter is he is the horse expert. I'm just the seasoned player, and chances are he's probably got something with what he's saying. So I'm not trying to discredit his play at all, even though I might not completely agree, but chances are he's probably right on this.
Well,
So
I want to say one last
go
thing.
ahead.
See, you're at the mercy of the card, and you've heard me say that before. So when we come on and analyze a play, if I think the play is going to be chalk, I'm not going to not tell you.
Yeah, you
that.
can't because
You just
I know.
so that's kind of what
That's
it
what
is.
messes
and
me
you
up
can
a little
try to
bit
get
in the past.
What's it called? You can try to get. You could try to make. You shouldn't get into practice that where you're trying to manufacture prices. I was trying to say a word
Exactly.
that doesn't come to my head right now. So
I know what
we
you're
made
saying.
a play not using the favorite in the last leg, but the odds are that Zulu Kingdom could win the first race. You know, if Chancer McPatrick wins, he's probably going to be the first or second choice. And then we've got probably the first and second choice in the third leg. So
Right.
it's not going to pay a lot. So it's not like that's what I normally do or how I play, but I'm just analyzing this and telling you what it is. So to me, you know, like in the Derby, like I don't even realize when I give a 7-1 out because I don't bet vertically. I bet horizontally and I play pick sixes. So to me, that when it's 7-1, it's a $16 horse. I know I'm an idiot. I don't have 20 across the board and go home and really remember a 7-1. So, you know, it's just not how I play. So I'm just telling you that, you know, we're analyzing it as the mercy of the card comes to us. So I just believe that's what's going to win of what we talked about. And then we
Right.
kind of
What he's really trying to say is basically
So-
we just can't give out something that's going to pay crazy amount just because it's going to pay crazy amount rather than just being right just because we're going to try to take a chance to get paid rather than just throw away stupid money and not just take what's going to pay. Right now, he's saying it's not going to pay with the current play that we have maybe, but I disagree a little bit. I think if it does go a few certain ways that it could still pay a little bit.
I mean, it could.
But for the official play on Instagram, on the pick four play, I'm telling you right now, it probably is going to change up a little bit once I We analyze it more. He's only had, I'm not gonna lie, 2.5 hours probably to study this race. He needs a little more time. I feel like I need a little bit more influence. So we'll see what happens tomorrow when the official Instagram plays
Right.
handed out, and maybe if he has a little bit of a different opinion on how much it could
But
potentially
let
pay.
me land that last tip. If you remember anything about this, if you start playing like this and you're playing horizontally and playing pick 4s, pick 5s, or even pick 3s, pick 6, whatever, even pick 3s, you can't manufacture the prices. You can only bet what wins.
Yeah,
So as you start to play more and more, you'll try to decipher a program and say, well, you know what? This isn't worth playing. I'm going to play somewhere else, or I'll look somewhere else later in the card because it's not going to pay. And sometimes you're wrong, but you might be right.
Yeah,
And
so what he's saying is after when you study for that pick 4, pick 5, and you potentially don't think it's going to pay, the
Don't
best
play.
thing you do is crumble up that
Yeah.
crumble up that sheet and probably move on to another track and maybe study another track. And if you do see it's worth playing, then play. What he's trying to say right now, maybe with the current pick 4 play that we handed out, it might not be so much worth playing for the simple fact it's not going to pay. So it's a little bit more risk than reward is what he ultimately is getting at. But we'll see what happens on the official pick 4 play. Like I said, if he thinks the
You can
risk
only
is
bet what
a little
wins.
bit reward. Because I do actually like a couple long shots that we didn't actually give out that I talked about that I like. So I feel like if a couple of the long shots win, then the pick 4 has potential to pay.
I
huge
love
shares.
these races.
So my top choice, like we said, was Rodriguez in here. I've already said why, because of the speed. I think it's a speed race. I'm not going to get too much more into that. But if you had to give him one long shot, who would that be? Even though this is a short
it would-
field.
Well, it's not going to be a long shot because there's only 8 horses, and I
You
would
don't-
give you Baeza the 6th. And that's who I already
He's a
played.
4-1 morning line, so
yeah.
you're not going to get too much more value on that. If I had to give out a long shot, my long shot, like I've been saying, probably would be Crudo. I think he does have potentially the only horse as a long shot to close out this race and pay pretty big here. So
Well, much stranger things than happen.
yeah, so definitely look out for Crudo as a long shot, I feel. But that's go ahead and go wrap up the pick
All right.
4. Like I said, definitely stay tuned for the official play tomorrow on Instagram. That, like I said, that potentially is going to come out about 3 p.m. Eastern time. Once again, I want to thank y'all for tuning into this. Once again, it was the Belmont Preview. This is the Best Picks in DMV podcast. If you haven't, please go ahead and follow my Instagram at Best Picks in DMV. All this month, I've been getting out winners in the NBA playoffs and NBA postseason.
It's been on fire.
It's been about a 60% mark. So definitely make sure that you tune in for the next couple plays to close out the NBA championship. I think I'm definitely going to come at y'all with a couple more of those straight point spread plays, that is. I do have another podcast coming up next week. What are you going to do? Just hang around trying to bet MLB parlays, maybe a WNBA if there's a couple games. Why not just tune into the Club World Cup? You know what I mean? Get to know soccer. Ty's watching soccer this summer.
Much more interesting.
And it really and truly is. It's the first one ever. It's every 4 years now. It's probably going to eventually be bigger than even the International World Cup. Man, it's going to be something to look forward to. And you're going to get a great, great advice about it, too, if you tune in next week. I believe it's going to either be Wednesday or Thursday, June 11th or June 12th. So definitely make sure y'all definitely tune into that. Once again, I want to shout out Ty, Virgil Photography, VMN, 420 Friendly Podcast. You definitely got to tune into all that. Any final words, Ty?
Nah, just thank you for joining. Yeah, I gotta keep hitting that button. Nah, thank you for joining. Continue to watching and support. And tip
Hit the
that man
like
that
button.
tip.
Hit the subscribe.
Right. You see, tip that man.
I've been waiting to say that for so long.
Go ahead, say it
Can I
again.
say it one more time? Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe.
Hold on. Go ahead again.
One more time? Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe.
Make sure y'all definitely do that. And like Ty was trying to get out, make sure y'all tip if y'all can. It's definitely appreciated and definitely will be remembered. Want to shout out Mike Brown, too, by the way. Definitely.
MEB Roofing.
Uh-huh. And then all this also, by the way, is for a fall college football and NFL podcast. By that time, it's going to get real serious. It's going to be for 18 to 19, probably actually 19 to 20 weeks. I don't know if we're going to do playoffs or not, but chances are we probably going to do that too. We're gonna make a lot of money here. We might even have the horse racing guest on here to try to. He thinks he can handicap a little bit of sports and go up against the. I'm saying he's probably the seasoned sports player, and I am the professional sports handicapper, whether he wants to admit it or not. And we'll see. This
I just
fall
chart
once we'll
NFL
get it.
games.
We'll see.
That's all.
We'll see. But definitely make sure that y'all stay tuned for updates on that as well. And I'll definitely see y'all next week. So one last time, thank y'all again. And Best Picks in DMV podcast. Make sure y'all follow.
And we out. Y'all have a good night.